Well, hello everybody and welcome to this month's May Agricology. If like us you've taken advantage of the nice weather, you'll be getting on with a little bit of silaging now. We're about a fortnight earlier than we'd normally be, and I've never seen such grass growth on this farm as we've had this year after that really long, slow, wet winter. Spring just came to a boom and we've got an enormous amount of grass. We've actually silaged all of our Sainfoin ground, and I know that quite a lot of you are interested in yields and protein content of that crop. So we're going to go down to the silage pit and look at that, and I'll talk about that in a second. What I found is that in organic farming, you know, manure is your black gold, and we'll compost our manure for at least 12 months, and you've seen that before in earlier blogs. And we've got a very nice muck spreader that will actually spread that muck about 24 meters, and just that one top dressing on grass or crops gives you a huge uplift. I learned a long time ago that if you spread muck fairly late, because it's been a wet winter, if you spread it, let it dry out for a few days and then flat roll, it'll just disappear, but you get that huge uptake in grass. We're in an old grass crop here, and I reckon this is doing about 15 tonnes to the acre fresh weight silage, which was up with any crop. So thoroughly pleased. Let's go down to the clamp and have a look at the Sainfoin. So here we are down at the silage pit. We're actually picking it up with forage boxes, which is actually a very efficient way of picking that. I'm really impressed with how they can pick up about 100 acres a day, 2 of them, and bring it into the guys here at the pit. Actually saves on all those tractors and trailers and that extra labour that I've got to find at silage time. Clover here on the tractor behind me is rolling the pit, and that's really important. You want to get as much air out of it as you can. I'm sure you already know that, but we'll spend quite a few hours just rolling the pit. Another guy's pushing it up here with a loading shovel, which is a pretty heavy piece of machinery anyway. We're chopping it a little bit longer. The forage boxes will pick it up a little bit longer than a forager, which I don't worry about at all. Some people love the fact that it sits in the rumen longer in cattle, and it's advantageous, so I'm quite happy to put it in here at this length. Now I wanted to talk a little bit about yields. There's been lots of questions about how much yield from the Sainfoin. Now, as I said, I reckon we're about 3 weeks early on cutting Sainfoin this year, and last year we did lots of sort of little tests on protein content building up to that point. So right now, when the Sainfoin was fairly juvenile, but it cuts a reasonable crop, I reckon it did 8 tonnes fresh weight per acre, so about 20 to the hectare. If you left it another fortnight, 3 weeks, you'd probably get 15 tonnes. But the difference is the protein content last week, as a plucked plant and sent to the lab, was 22% protein. If I left it for a fortnight, 3 weeks, it'd go down to about 15, 16. So you're losing sort of 2 or 3% in protein content as each week goes by. So we've opted this year to take some Sainfoin early, and then I'll take a second cut and hope that it has, you know, a similar feed value to it. But having said that, the grass silage, as I said before, has been phenomenal this year. So by the end of tonight, or at least tomorrow, hopefully we will have finished first cut silage. In about 6 weeks, I'll analyse the grass silage and the Sainfoin, and I'll come back to you with exact results of how it's performed this year. So I've always wanted to say this. Here's one we prepared earlier. So this silage was actually put in here a few days ago. The point here is that it's most important that you take great care to seal your pit properly. We'll actually drape plastic down the sides of the walls, a plastic sheet, and then actually fold it in and get a sheet on top of it. We choose to use these sandbag type weights and a heavy gauze sheet across the top, which protects it from birds and any other vermin that are around. rolled down really tightly, sealed up with the sheet as soon as possible. We'll even sheet the pit up that night if it's not full until the next day. It gets sheeted up, you know, just lightly, just to keep it all in there. Opened up again the next morning and it pays huge dividends. So great care at sheeting up is really well required. And this is where we'll come back to in 6 weeks to do an analysis of the end product. Have a great silage time. See you next month.